You're tuned in to the Foxborough BCast.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
The Lethbridge Bullhorn is all things regarding the Lethbridge Bulls of the Western Canadian Baseball League. The Bullhorn has the latest news regarding the Bulls with interviews with current and past players, signings, game recaps, and updates on all the events happening at Spit Stadium. The Bullhorn is your place for all things regarding baseball in Lethbridge. Get your horns up with the Bullhorn, the Lethbridge Bulls Baseball Report. All right, welcome to the Bullhorn Lethbridge Bulls Baseball Report. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Bullpen Co. Go to the Bullpen Co.'s Facebook page for men's and women's baseball themed apparel over there at the Bullpen Co. They got everything going on there. Tonight we have a special guest. It's going to be a lot of fun talking with Mr. Myles Fletcher, longtime coach with the Bulls, one of the original players, the 1999 team, fresh off a round of golf today with the other Bulls coaches and a former player. It might be a coach later on. Who knows? We're gonna gotta get through the vetting system first with little Carlin Dick. See how that goes. How was golf today, Myles? How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. I had to swap out my Bulls gear for Dodgers gear tonight, and I'm looking forward to redemption from Game 2, the Dodgers Padres series here.
We'll get into that for sure, because I like to go back a lot of years ago when the Dodgers were playing at old Henderson Stadium back a long time ago. I'm sure that's how you kind of got inducted into the fandom with the Lethbridge Dodgers and the LA Dodgers. We'll get into that in a second. Myles, we'll get right into the Bulls season this year, 2024, their 25th anniversary season. One of the better seasons they've had in recent memory. Set a team record, four wins in a season. What do you like most about this team going in, and when did you kind of say, you know what, we got a pretty good club here?
You know what I loved most about the team this year was just the guys. I mean, I hadn't been around the Bulls for quite a while, and coming back, and the level of baseball really opened my eyes from that first game. I really loved, I'm a defense guy, so just having the confidence when that ball is hit, I know the defense is going to take care of stuff. So, that's a part of the game that really excited me, is just seeing how good the guys were, being around this group of guys, and then seeing how good at defense they were. Hitting's always there, pitching, everyone throws hard. So to me, sort of the X factor is the defense.
That's what I was going to bring up. You're an old infielder from way back when I used to umpire you, and you were back in '99, and even before that, American Legion with the Elks and the Miners. Man, we're kind of aging ourselves a little bit here, Myles. But one of those things. What did you like when you're watching that Bulls middle infield? You look at the guys like Caleb Haney and Tyler Monroe. What did you like most about how they played the game?
I guess how smooth they were under pressure. Nothing really got to them. No moment was too big. They're having fun out there, right? And that's sort of the purpose of the summer ball. But you could tell those guys are really having fun while taking care of business at the same time. So, just seeing how relaxed they were, how much fun they're having, and still able to execute the plays that they needed to make. And like I said, just having the confidence. And they had, those two guys, they have a lot of confidence, and that's what I really like about them.
Yeah, that's one way of wording it, confidence. Yeah, that's one way you can say. No, both really good. I can say they're both really good kids, and you can too. Like the way they play the game, and always a smile on their face. Had a lot of fun, and hair flowing out the back, the whole thing with old Haney. But it's one of those things. You talk about the speed of the game and how the game has changed a little bit over the years. Not many guys hit a ground ball anymore and jog up the first baseline. Now everything is just so fast, and guys are they're legging out ground balls to the infield. What's one thing that you noticed, like you said earlier, the way the game's played? What's one of the biggest things you noticed from when you played a little bit to how the game is now?
Just the speed of the game itself, like you mentioned. I would say the pitching, back in our day, sure, we thought they throw hard relative to the time they threw hard. But now everyone that steps on that bump throws gas. And that's probably the biggest difference. There's really no easy matchups with any pitcher in the league. And that's probably the biggest difference. And like you said, the speed of the game, everyone's bigger, everyone's stronger, everyone can do everything more powerful and faster. So, like I said, being away for a period of time and then coming back and seeing it firsthand, I was like, holy moly, this is wild.
These guys are going a little bit. No, the game is faster. There's no, I don't know if it's better, but the game is definitely
Yep.
faster. We'll get into that a little bit
Yep.
in a bit. Uh, Before we move on to your tenure as a player with the Bulls, I want to, as a bench coach, when did you realize that maybe part of your job description probably wasn't in the contract? That was maybe you had to be a team psychologist a little bit, because things are a little bit different now. Athletes are a little different now. You can't just rub some dirt on it and figure it out. And it's a lot different now. When did you realize you kind of signed up to be a psychologist a little bit?
Well, I mean, I sort of got a little bit of a crash course in that, helping out with PBA and stuff like that as well during the school year. Coming on to the Bulls, I mean, you see guys, they've played at high levels themselves, and you see that they're still going through those ups and downs. And you know what? It takes you reminding yourself that these are still kids out there playing. Sure, they're 18, 19 through 23, 24, but these are still kids out there. And you realize that, once they get a little bit of failure, they start fighting themselves and stuff like that. So, I mean, you realize pretty quick that, yes, you are there to coach. You are there to sort of wrangle these kids and make sure that, they're having a good summer baseball wise and growing up a little bit. And yes, you realize really quickly that, sure, you need to be that psychologist and help them out a little bit as well.
Without naming any names, was there a guy who came into the season and he was kind of struggling a little bit maybe and get a little homesick, and you're maybe thinking about going home and being with your buddies and seeing the girlfriend and that kind of stuff? Because that all comes into play when you're 19, 18, 19, 20 years old, where, yeah, I'm in Lethbridge, I'm in Weyburn, or I'm in God knows where on a Friday night, and I'd rather be somewhere else. Did you encounter that a little bit during the season, where you had to say, hey, maybe just stick it out, and it's going to get a lot better?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, not just one guy, several people. Right. And even ones that have been away from home for school or whatever. And maybe in years past, they spent the summers at home working and hanging out with their family or their girlfriend or their friends. And hey, now we're playing some serious baseball in the summer, and we're playing every day, and we don't have time to do that fun stuff that they're used to doing. Yeah. So there were several guys this past summer that, you really have to talk to and help them out and get through those periods and just remind them why they're here and what they're doing.
Like the coaching staff is a little diverse. I won't name. Oh, actually, I will. I'll name. I don't care. Like Ryan can be a little bit tough. It seems like on the exterior, but everybody's got a heart and everything else. And do you ever have a like with your coach staff, and Josh is pretty mild mannered, and so is yourself? Did you ever have a good cop, bad cop situation where sometimes one of you may have got a little bit upset, or maybe another guy had to step in and say, you know what, he didn't really mean it. You're just kind of the whipping boy for the moment. You're allowed to say whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'd say behind closed doors, we have those conversations. When we open that door and go out and address the team or address that player that needs that sort of talk or whatever, we try to be on the same page once we leave that coach's office. But certainly inside the coach's office, there's a little bit of good cop, bad cop going on when we're talking about guys, for sure.
Well, that's good. That's always what makes me laugh. I kind of like to be a fly in the wall. Maybe next season I'll do that. But
on that note, sorry to interrupt you. I mean, our post-game talks were pretty entertaining. I think, by mid-season, the players could sort of tell who was going to say what every time. Mac might have brought in a little bit of light of fire under us, whereas Josh and I were, propping some guys up and stuff like that. So, yes, along those lines for sure.
You go to a game day, and it's got to put a little bit of kick in your step a little bit when you go out there and you remember you 25 years ago doing the same thing, and different scale, but like it was back the early days of Lethbridge Bulls. But being able to hit fungos, being around batting practice, that might have brought you back a little bit.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was a highlight of my day, just going and throwing BP to the guys and hitting fungos and just being a part of it. Yeah, it brought me back, and it made me excited. Every day I was excited especially to get out of work and then head to the ballpark to do something like that.
No, it's always fun. Like, even just being around that, you watch how it all comes together. Like I've been an umpire and everything else is different, but it's just it's such a great experience when you're a couple of baseball dorks like me and you are. It's just a great thing. Let's rewind a lot of years now. Like, we've been around. It was Henderson Stadium back in the day, and I've kind of want to rename the place Spit Stadium at Henderson Park, but that's something later on. We'll get into that. That's behind closed doors, me and Mr. Kavami. But what's your earliest memories of the old Henderson Stadium before you even started playing there as a Lethbridge Elk or Lethbridge Minor?
Oh, earliest memories. Well, I mean, you know, if you've been around ball in Lethbridge, you probably know my grandpa's name, George Oshinaka. And earliest memories are going to watch the Lethbridge Dodgers. I mean, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, we're going to the ballpark. So, you know, you talked about my Dodger fandom and stuff like that earlier. And I was literally born bleeding Dodger blue blood. And yeah, so those are some of the earliest memories I have. Obviously, going and watching those teams growing up, going to the Elks tournament, American Legion Elks tournament. And, you know, I was telling some of the guys last night, I was at the very first PBA practice in 1995. So I do have some very early memories of that place.
For some reason, I was at that practice with the likes of Akil Samuel was out there, and Bill Wolstenholme was out there, and
Yep.
some of the characters from the original PBA team. Oh, geez, what a cast of characters that turned out to be. Let's go back to 1999, the very first year of the Lethbridge Bulls. How did that, as a player? You must have heard rumblings a little bit. There was going to be this SMBL team, because first off, you probably kind of heard of the Saskatchewan League from the Oyen Pronghorns. There was that team out in Coaldale, I think, for a season as well,
Yep. Yep.
if I recall correctly. But how did you end up on that initial Lethbridge Bulls team back in 1999? Because that was a cast of characters, I tell you what.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Well, so I had just finished my first year of PBA. I was a fresh-faced kid right out of high school. Played PBA, and Hub was the assistant coach for that team. And yeah, he just said one day, "I'm head coaching this summer team. You want to come be a member of it?" And I said, "Sure." I had no idea what I was signing up for. I had no idea what I had agreed to that day. But yeah, it was certainly a cast of characters, and that's how it came to be. Just playing on the team, playing for him throughout the school year, and he said, "Hey, I need a second baseman." I said, "Well, that's the position I play, so I'll be there."
It was probably a lot different playing in that league because, the beers were flowing and everything else, and you're playing against guys who are, geez, some might have even been twice your age at that point. You think of Harv
Yeah.
Martinez out in
Yeah.
Swift Current and all those guys. It must have been like it was competitive and you played hard, but it was probably a lot different atmosphere around the locker room than it was playing for the early incarnations of the Prairie Baseball Academy.
Oh, absolutely. It was different. I mean, like you said, Harv Martinez out in Swift and Hobb, even they're player coaches back then.
Yeah.
So those guys would suit up and play if they needed to play. And I mean, it was. And for me specifically, I was, like I said, I was a fresh faced kid right out of high school. I come in and I'm playing against, these fifth year guys that are down in university D1 schools and stuff like that. And I had no idea what I was stepping into. And then, like you said, Hub comes out of the dugout to throw a few innings here and there, and they're, beers are flowing after the game, even with the opposing team and in the hotel. And yeah, it was a lot different, certainly.
It was like I remember because I was only, geez, how old was I was 25 years old umpiring in that league, and I remember I should quit picking on Harv Martinez. I don't know if they're going to watch this or listen to this, but me and Harv had some battles. I can't remember how old he was, but man, we would be MFing each other pretty quick and really early. And it's funny, like how competitive it was back then, even though that means something. You want to win, you play hard, but like how competitive it actually was back then. And because a lot of those communities, they got behind those teams. Like the league wasn't as big as it was back then, obviously. It's the competitive nature of some of those old guys and those communities. It was an eye opener for sure.
Well, and it was cutthroat, like you said, and you know what? Here comes this new team, expansion team in the SMBL, the Lethbridge Bulls, and it's all a bunch of young kids, university players, and yeah, we're playing against men's teams, and yeah, they did not want to lose to us, so it was very competitive. You go into their barns, and the fans are throwing stuff at you and screaming at you. It was crazy.
Yeah, I got hit by a glass of beer once. I can't remember. I know exactly where I was, but I don't want to bring it up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What the hell?" Like I wasn't that bad. Like I knew it wasn't.
Yeah.
You can make it bad, whatever. It happens. Like, geez, I'm calling the third that a guy. Well, then you get Bud Light umpires in about the seventh or eighth inning that they're really telling you how things are going.
Yeah.
You guys had a lot of talent back then. Like it's different talent than it is. We talked about earlier. Different talent than it is today. Just guys are different. I remember like Tyson Arashenkoff. He threw out one of the opening pitches one night when he was back in Lethbridge. Cole Peters. He ended up getting drafted, I believe. And then of course Les McTavish. I can't go through one of these shows without talking about Les for some reason. It's just kind of the way it always turns out. But what do you remember about the talent that you guys had on that team and a really close group of guys? Like I remember you guys' pitching staff was really good, but you guys were a really close group of guys. And I wasn't too much older than some of you guys, so Rick, I could kind of relate a little bit. What do you remember about that your teammates from back then?
Well, on the talent level, like you said, we had a half a dozen D1 players. I was telling some guys yesterday, our whole starting pitching staff was Division I pitchers. Two from Washington State, one from Nicholls State, one from South Carolina, one from Iowa. So yeah, we had a lot of talent. We had some D1 players. Glenn Hutchison came back and was our DH.
Yeah.
Gary Maurice had played at Gonzaga or was going down to Gonzaga. So I mean, yeah, the talent relative to the time was fantastic. And I think what made us such a close group of guys is it was the first year, like we've talked about, and we were all sort of feeling our way through this. It was a group really of strangers that came together just for that summer. We didn't really know each other, save for the couple that came straight from PBA, like myself. And yeah, it was a mixed match group of guys, all different ages, all different schools, all different hometowns, and yeah, we pulled it together. It was awesome.
Well, and that's the thing that's so different from teams of like now compared to back then. There was no Instagram, there was no Twitter, there was no text messages, Facebook, there was nothing. Like
Yeah.
you barely, there was no, like as crazy as this sounds, like there was no forms of communication other than a phone, but whoever called people, like it was just one of those things. So when guys
For sure.
showed up, and now a lot of these guys know each other because they play each other in different schools. They know each other a lot more, and so they even like the opposing teams, like guys from Okotoks play down at wherever school. What's that one? Bellevue. Everybody's from Bellevue for some reason, but like, so all these guys kind of know each other. Whereas when you guys were just getting going, you didn't know who you were playing the next night. Like you eventually you got to know them throughout the season, but no, it was you were on your own. You got to meet guys, and these are your friends for the summer, and you got to bond that way. No, it was really cool to be on my side of that things, looking at that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, yeah, like I said, we sort of built from nothing, and we all just came together. As you mentioned, hey, I know this guy. He's pretty good at ball. He's playing down in the States. Let's give him a shout and see if he'll come play for us. And yeah, it was a really thrown together group of guys that ended up doing pretty good.
Yeah, you look at this 2020, 25 years later. Be honest, who would have won? The 99 team gets the 2024 team.
Hey, I'll say the 99 team had a little bit of grit that I don't know if kids these days bring with them.
I would agree. I was around both teams quite closely, and I think the 99 team would have scared the living bejesus out of that 99 out of this 2024 team, like because there's big pitchers, everybody, and you guys were like, because you guys ended up having a bit of grit yourself, playing against a bunch of men all over the place. So you guys had to take. Well, I guess we're doing this, and then you have, of course, Hubka was always built from a different cloth, like he is today. Like it's kind of one of those things. It's just no. I think the 99 team, if it was a 10-run rule, you guys would have finished it in 5.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, of course we'd have won that.
No, there's no doubt in my mind. It wouldn't have been close. It wouldn't have been close. You guys weren't worried about how your hair looked and everything else. I'm
exactly
one of those things. You're still involved in the game of baseball, not only with the Bulls, but with Lethbridge Little League, Prairie Baseball Academy. I think you're still part of the board for the PBA. You're on and on it goes throughout Lethbridge, throughout baseball. What keeps you going back to the game, and how have things changed since your parents were looking after things compared to how you're looking after things now?
So I'll start. What keeps me involved? I mean, I love baseball, and the more opportunity I can to just stay involved, it just keeps me happy like that. Number one. Number two is, I recognize that a lot of people made a lot of sacrifices and put a lot of time in to enable me to play baseball as much as I did and at the level I did. So, it's the least I can do to stay involved, to continue the tradition so that I can sort of repay the time that they put into me by giving it to some other kids as well.
What's the biggest difference? Like, everybody says this is different, that's different. You've been around forever. I've been around forever. And what's the biggest difference from now compared to when you were playing on Dave Elton Fields back, in the early 80s?
Well, I'll try and keep this politically correct. What's the biggest difference? I would say there's a lot less of this is the way we're doing it, and so you better accept it, sort of fit in or find somewhere else to play. type thing. I'm not going to say any tail wagging dog situations, but there is a lot more placating of, just making sure everyone is included and stuff like that. That is the biggest difference, I'd say.
The athletes of today are different. The training's different. The methods are different. The all of it. Is it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's better because I'm from a like see ball, hit ball kind of thing, and the metrics and all that. I think that gets like, I personally think that gets brought into a young age a little bit too much, where some kids might get turned off the game of baseball because of that. Because it's just like something. Because I'm not like, you and I both know sometimes baseball can be a little bit boring. Pitchers aren't throwing strikes; it can be bad.
Yeah.
Is there something that maybe it's a little overcoached at times?
I don't know. I don't really want to, make judgment on that. Whether or not, I am a fan of the multi-sport athlete or the multi-sport approach. However, I think just kids being active, whether you're playing 3 sports or 1 sport, sure, you might need some rest on some specific body parts or something like that. But as long as kids are staying active, doing what they're doing, I don't really see a huge issue, with the overcoaching. Maybe at some younger ages, there might be a little bit too much specialization. Sure. And that's always a conversation that's going on amongst any sport. But I mean, like I said, as long as kids are staying active, I don't think that's, becoming a huge issue.
The one thing that I found with young kids, like, 'cause I go around the league parks a little bit now and then to help out. I don't think kids watch baseball as much as we used to.
Yes, that's a good, fair point.
And I don't think, because they're because everybody's a TikTok generation, and so they see clips and posts and things like that. But I think that's one thing that gets lost a little bit, and that I think that there's some kids and parents as well that didn't maybe play baseball. I think that that's one thing that's lost a little bit, is that kids don't know how to play the game itself.
Yep. Yeah, and that's a fair comment. I mean, you touched on baseball seems boring to some people, and I can certainly understand why they might say that. And sure, yes, I would agree that kids probably watch less baseball than you and I did when we were younger. I remember Coob used to always say to us, when you're watching the game, watch the game. Figure out strategies, figure out what they're doing, watch the hitter, what he's doing in the box, watch the pitcher, pick up tendencies and stuff like that. I mean, even to get to that level, probably with a lot of the players these days, you just want them to turn the TV on and watch the game itself rather than
to name 10 players.
Yeah,
like it's a lot different. I mean, it's just so many different forms of entertainment. You played second base for a long time. Was that just something that you just grit like a gritty little player? I remember watching you play and everything else. Was that just kind of your forte? You're going to go out there and just play hard, and did you just love it?
I mean, I loved it. Yes, when I was down at school in Louisiana, my coach, he's always called me a dirtbag because that's how I played. Jersey was always dirty. I mean, I was telling some guys I was never the biggest or the most talented or the strongest or anything like that. So I had to play, gritty and grind my way through it and work hard. And yeah, I mean, that was fun to me, was that aspect.
Let's go get back to this year's edition of the Bulls. It came, yeah, man. Like I still believe if they win that get that 13-inning marathon against Okotoks, that they'll probably win the whole thing, just the way that team was built. What was a high point of your season this year with the Lethbridge Bulls coming back and being a bench coach with the team?
Well, I mean, every day was awesome, and it's cliche and it sounds exaggeration, but I mean, every day was a high point for me. I just loved being at the park, being around the guys. I love the rest of the coaching staff, Mac and Bergie. I mean, they're some of my best friends right now, and yeah, every day was awesome. I mean, when we broke the streak, or when I got to throw at the first pitch, or yes, unfortunately we lost in the playoffs, but it was a heck of a playoff series. So there were so many highlight moments this summer that naming one isn't easy.
Was there one player like that? Sometimes you just, man, what is? Can you? You don't have to name names, but was there one guy at times that would say, "Geez, this guy's driving me nuts. He's just driving me nuts," and probably more than one, and whatever they were doing the night before, who know, whatever. But yeah. Was there a guy that like, did you ever have a chat with said guy and say, can you just focus for 3 hours a night, man?
Yeah, so I would say there was one or two guys off the field that would be like, man, this guy just someone needs to have a chat with him. And then there was one or two guys on the field as well that like, yes, can you please just focus for 9 innings? Yeah, I won't name any names, but there are certainly those
They know
guys.
who they are. I'm sure they know who they are, and if their teammates are watching, they probably going to say
Yes,
that they
and
were
like you
talking about
mentioned,
you, man. Yeah.
we had a pretty diverse roster with a lot of colorful personalities. So I mean, it's bound to happen. Everyone got along, and that's not a negative or ragging on anyone, but they're just those guys sometimes.
It's just no matter what you do. No, it
Yeah,
was it was a fun group to be around, and just on my side of things, and laugh and smile at it, and just how they like it always seemed like whenever a new guy came in, they it's like they were there for three
yeah.
weeks. So they didn't seem to push anybody out, and you had a cast of characters that were in and out of that locker room all the time. What? Let's talk about the coaching staff a little bit. We alluded to it earlier on. Was there ever times where like Ryan got tossed out a couple of times, and I was not never part of the conversations, but I've always and being an umpire, I've always wanted to know if coaches say to each other after the fact, you might have overstepped your boundaries. Oh no, he deserved it. Like let's say if Ryan got thrown out, did you guys ever have a like you'll probably let him rant, I would assume.
Yep.
And then did you ever go no man, that one you might have overstepped your boundaries a little bit on that one.
Well, I mean, after we got over the laughter of some of his toss outs and
Yeah.
demonstrations on the field. No, I mean, we probably were all on the same page about when he got tossed out. There might have been one or two other times where he might have been on an umpire for didn't actually get tossed, but he might have been on an umpire or something. We're like, hey, you know what? Actually, they made the right call or something like that. Or
Did you ever have you ever been tossed from a game?
I haven't in all my years. I've been coaching since 2001, and I have not been tossed yet.
Player, coach, nothing.
Nothing. Well, actually, I was taught in American Legion. If you talk to Coach Jim Kokis, he loves to share the story about how he got me tossed one time. So
Because Jim don't say much out there.
no. We were chirping at an umpire, and I think the umpire went to him and said, "Hey, your guys, they're crossing the line a little bit." And he's like, "Hey, if they're talking, you can toss them." And the guy turned around and tossed me immediately.
Just pick somebody. Yeah, you can go. See you later. Your
Yeah,
participation is no longer required at this event. See you later.
yeah,
No, it's funny.
yeah.
The stories that can happen at a ballpark and stuff, and you've been around. You've been fortunate to be around for a long time, and it's great. The Bulls this season had a good year, and it's just a lot of fun to put all the noise behind you. I'm sure you can agree with this. To put the noise behind you for a few hours, if you get there at 4 o'clock and you leave at 10, 11, 12 o'clock some nights. It's not a full-time job, but it's a full-time job. And like you probably were a little bit overjoyed at times, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I tell people when they ask, why do you do this? Or, you spend so much time away from home. And, I am grateful that I have the supportive family that I do. But I tell them as well that, when I go to the Diamond, it's like my therapy, right? Stressful jobs, stressful days, stressful lives. And when I go to the Diamond, it literally is like my therapy. So.
Did you have a player this season that sometimes you had to hear what they just maybe sat down with them or before during batting practice that this guy's going to say something or you look forward to having a conversation with a certain guy this season that goes this
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I like this cat. Who
Yeah, oh,
was
yeah. I mean, me and Tyler Monroe, I made up the nickname Rosie for him. Every day at batting practice, I'd hit him fungus and then I'd go hang out there because, they had some stories mostly having to do with what was transpiring off the field. And, he would relay stories about what some of the other guys were up to or, what some of
it?
the host families were up to and stuff like that. And yeah, he would often share some colorful things.
No, Tyler's a great guy. Always good for conversation. I the one thing I didn't like, he always called me sir. It made me feel old. Like they all call me sir. Yes, sir. I'm like I'm not that one old. But
Hey, I mean, when I'm coaching first base, I'm like, hey, bud, there's one out. Yes, sir. Or,
it's unbelievable. Like it's
crazy.
like yeah, I know. I'm like okay. I get my dad's name, sir. Like
Yeah.
one of those things. No, this is a lot of fun, Miles. Like we'll do. I don't know if you paid attention during the season. You were very busy on the field, very focused all the time. But we had this Charlton Hill patio thing called 3 Easy Questions. I
Yeah.
got 5 for you, and then we'll get you out of here and we can go and enjoy the Dodgers game. Actually, do you think Dodgers? Let's talk about this first. Are the Dodgers going to get by the Padres?
Well, yes, of course, I'm going to say yes to that. I mean, I'm a realist. I understand it's going to be a real tough series. We just saw that last game. The Padres took it to the Dodgers a little bit, but yeah, they're going to get by the Padres, and yeah, of course. I'm not a fan of the Padres, so
You
they
didn't
better.
sound very confident in that answer there, but I think they'll eventually find a way. It's just because they're the Padres, right? The
Yeah,
Padres are
exactly.
just the Padres. They've
And
been
I
there
don't
since
like
'98.
it.
They're
Yeah.
the Padres, whatever. All right, let's do some easy questions and send you on your merry way. Do you
Okay.
do your pants zipper when you do up your pants? Do you go zipper first or button first?
Button first, zipper second.
What's actually your favorite song compared to what you tell people your favorite song is?
Oh, I really love the song Patio Lanterns. I'll tell people my
I
favorite
love
song.
that too. Yeah.
I tell people my favorite songs, probably Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins or Enter Sandman by Metallica. But I
But
love
it's actually
Patio
patio lanterns.
Lanterns.
Nice work. What's one thing that you for sure do better than Todd Hubka?
Chug beers. I can chug a beer really fast.
Better than Hubka.
I've never raced against Hub, but I haven't come across anyone yet who can beat me.
That's funny. Uh, Favorite baseball player of all time? That's
Oh,
not Carlin Dick.
oh shoot.
I took away the obvious answer.
Yeah, so growing up, my favorite player was Roberto Alomar. I mean, second base, played the same position, Toronto Blue Jays, so we got a lot of exposure to him. As I've gotten older, it's surprising to say, but Clayton Kershaw is my favorite current player.
Oh,
He's a
he's
pitcher, I'm a position player, so usually that doesn't happen, but he's my guy.
just straight class too. Hey, like
Yeah,
I just love him. It's too bad he's got that stigma of being
yeah,
a
I
playoff
know.
failure, right? Just
Yeah,
one of those things, and they weren't all his fault. They were some were, but you just that's how pitching is in the postseason. And last but not least, who's going to win the World Series?
the LA Dodgers.
The LA Dodgers. Do you count that 2020 World Series, or is it kind of like a 3/4 World Series? Or is it a? I think it's about a 5/8 World Series. That one personally, it
That
counts. It counts in the record books, but it
it
doesn't.
counts. I mean, you can't. Every team that criticizes Mickey Mouse World Champion, you can't tell me they wouldn't have been waving the banner if they were.
Oh, I would have for sure. The Yankees would have pulled that one off, guaranteed. And running down the street with a flag naked, probably one of those things. But yeah, no, Miles, this is a lot of fun. Catch up. We talk a lot around the ballpark and having your passion and your smile around the Bulls. It's greatly appreciated, and it's always fun to talk to you. We'll have to have you on the Bullhorn Lethbridge Bulls baseball report once the season gets a little bit closer next year.
Anytime.
Are you back next year? Contract pending, probably.
Hey, if they want me back, I'll be there. That's what I tell everybody.
I'll make it
Yeah,
happen.
I
There's no way.
loved it. I loved it. I love the guys. So if they want me back, I'll be there.
I'll make it happen. So
Thanks, buddy.
when Ryan got himself tossed,
Yep.
was it who was finally in charge there?
It honestly, it became really a team effort. We had to do some lineup manipulation, and so Bergie and I really got together. He coaches third base when Matt gets tossed. I don't like coaching third base to start with, so I'm glad to let him coach third base. But we had to bring in some pinch hitters and make a few moves and stuff like that, and it really became a collaborative effort.
Coaching first base might be the easiest job in sports,
Yeah,
isn't it? High fives, bump slaps, watches move. Yeah.
yeah.
There's not a lot of great conversations. Hey,
No,
hey,
no,
what are you doing later on tonight? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
You talk with the first baseman a bunch. Talk with the umpire. Good. That's
Yeah.
a good gig.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I like to do it. And there's a lot of pressure on the third base coach. And hey, I'd rather go hang out over there and just enjoy the ball game.
Yeah, bag of spits in your back pocket. Good. See you later. Good deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Miles. Thank you very much for doing this, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Cheers, man. There's Myles Fletcher from the Lethbridge Bulls, longtime baseball guy around the city of Lethbridge. Always a pleasure to talk to Myles. he's always a fun time to chat with, and he loves the game of baseball. That's it for another edition of the Bullhorn Lethbridge Bulls baseball report. Field of Screams starts next week, so make sure you come down to watch the biggest haunted house in southern Alberta, if not in it's everywhere. If the Spit Stadium turns into the best haunted house in Lethbridge, so make sure you guys come by Spit Stadium. Then City Connect Jersey contest, lots of other things going on. PBA's got their winter camps early bird pricing going on now till the 15th of October, I believe, for their winter camps. So make sure you sign your youngins up for that. But anyways, that's the Lethbridge Bulls. The Bullhorn Report, brought to you by the Bullpen Clothing Company. Go to the Bullpen Clothing Company's Facebook page for baseball themed apparel. Thank you very much for watching the show, and make sure, and if you want to watch or listen to the podcast, it's up on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, I believe, and Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. There it is. We'll talk to you guys very soon.
The Lethbridge Bullhorn is all things regarding the Lethbridge Bulls of the Western Canadian Baseball League. The Bullhorn has the latest news regarding the Bulls with interviews with current and past players, signings, game recaps, and updates on all the events happening at Spit Stadium. The Bullhorn is your place for all things regarding baseball in Lethbridge. Get your horns up with the Bullhorn, the Lethbridge Bulls Baseball Report.